Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Find your own voice, lead from within. Over to you, Dr. Birgitte. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Nomsa. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever feel as if life sometime tested you? Sometimes living in life, particularly with all that we've been going through the last couple of years, sometimes it feels like we keep getting tested by life. It's one after another thing happening, sometimes as we just think that things are improving, it's going back again and visiting the same old story and in a different versions, isn't it? And so the question is, what can you do such that you can be more resilient mentally? So you are able such that when something happen, you bounce back like a rubber ball, so to say, regardless on how hard life or anyone in your life try to drop you. Just like a rubber ball, you bounce. If you being thrown on the water, hey, you float alone. You float along. And so today we're going to share with you on some tips and tools on how you can be like a rubber ball, somebody that just bounce right back and create an even better result each time you do that, regardless of what has happened. And I'm the Birgitte Tan. I'm a grief transformation coach, and I do exactly that in my regular work as well, helping people take an adversity and to learn to be able to move through them easily and with more fun and triumph a whole lot faster. And it's an honor to be with you today. I think you're muted, Namsa.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Dr. Birgitte. Dr. Birgitte has just mentioned that. So our topic today is how to become more mentally strong and the strategies basically for building resilience. She spoke about like sometimes when big things are happening in your life, what do we do? Some people want to stay down, but some people they want to get up when they are faced with the challenges. Emotionally, you have to be ready. How do you get ready? Basically, emotionally, basically, you have to train yourself every single day because life will throw you with the unexpected. The postman will deliver something that you don't expect. Your wife would deliver something, the news that you don't expect. Your child would deliver the news that you don't expect. Athletics, you go to the pitch, you want to win, you lose. So mentally, you have to be ready. So what do? To get up, you have to cry. It's okay to feel pain. I'm not saying ignore the pain. It's okay to feel the sadness, but don't stay there. You can feel the sickness, you can feel the pain because life is life. And there are no guarantees. And because the top shows, Kamal says in life there are no guarantees for tomorrow. And which is true. When you go to sleep, you don't know what tomorrow will bring. So that's why you have to live each day as it was your last day, basically, on earth. So I'm going to give it over to you, Dr. Birgitte. You're muted.
The game of the microphone, right? How do you bounce back from the microphone quickly? To start with. Thank you. And yes, so how I mentioned briefly just now that one way for us to be able to bounce back and have a resiliency, to have to be mentally strong, to have mental resiliency, one way is to definitely use this an example, because the more if we are going in the dark, if we're going in the dark and never have an idea on what to do anything, it can be a bit more challenging. And so use this an example. And I had one of this video I did in the past, a teaching on how to be like a rubber ball. And one of the character of being like a rubber ball, if you ever use this, if you ever actually get a rubber ball and use it and look at it, one is you don't take things in. Now, it doesn't mean that you deny what your feelings. There's a very big difference between not taking things in personally and denying what you're feeling. We're all entitled to our feelings. Your feelings is your feelings. I tend to say feelings are like fingerprint; they're not right or wrong. So that is one thing we know for sure. You want to acknowledge your feelings, but it doesn't mean somebody says no to you. Let's say let's say you ask somebody for a date. This is a personal relationship, and you're an expert in this, Numsa, and somebody asks you for a date, and the person says no. Now, there's a multiple way you can go about that. The first would be you can say, "Oh my God, gotta be something with me. Oh my goodness, I'm so discouraged," and on and on. And you decided that, you know what, this is just also difficult, and everybody, and on and on and on and on. And you get discouraged and stop going on a date altogether. Or you might become bitter. You might say, "Oh my goodness, you know what? After all, they're just all nasty people." And da, 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 da. So you still go on a date, and at the same time, your approach, your perceptions, your attitude toward it is different now. Or you can say, "Well, apparently that one didn't work. Next." And not taking it upon you, or taking it in an internal way, or causing yourself to be angry and have your energy or vibrations affected and lowers in any manner. And so one for me to is to not take things, but take things in a matter of fact way. It's just like the fact the person says no. Who knows what caused him or her to say no? Perhaps if the persons happen to be having a migraine that day. You would never know. Something else going on in his or her life. You don't know. Maybe they're facing a family situation, and right now it's just not the right time to go on a date. Hey, try again later. And that will take us to another part of this. But what's your thought, Numsa? Have you ever have rejections? Whether it's seemingly from life, you want to accomplish something you done, or somebody.
I've had lots of rejection. Sometimes I apply for a job, I got told that I'm not enough. So I got lots of rejection. I actually applied to go. I wanted at the time. I thought going to this reality TV would get me with where I need to go. So I kept trying to apply X Factor and the reality TV just to go and audition. But then I applied to The Voice. I went in. When I went in The Voice, I got up in the morning. I had chest infection. I was sick. So then I turned up anyway. I didn't stop. I turned up and I auditioned, but I didn't go through because my voice wasn't there. So they couldn't basically decide whether I can sing or not. Uh, but then after that, I realized actually this is not what I need. I don't need to be on TV. So because of the rejection, when somebody rejects you, you want to do more and more and more. So that's when I realized actually I don't really want to be on TV. Why am I auditioning this? So I didn't go back. Um, and I've been rejected in relationships as well. But at the time, like what you were saying, I got really wind up like, why am I being rejected by men? Hey, Dewa, how you doing? Good to see you. So at the time, but now I'm realizing that when somebody rejects you, it doesn't mean it's you that is a problem. It means that they have problems that they need to deal with. And when somebody does reject you, it is okay for you to basically celebrate it because they don't want to waste your time. They see that they are not ready. I have basically been on. Actually, I'm a matchmaker, so I'm gonna tell you a story. So sometimes I match women because their life is actually very simple if we realize, but because of our mind and ego make life complicated. Yes, Dewa, that is the truth. We make, hallelujah, we make things so complicated, but life it can be very, very simple. So sometimes I match women with men, and I go to a male's home and find out what they want and stuff. Just comfortable because at home, if somebody there at home they are comfortable, they know what they want, they'll be honest with you. So you see, this guy is a lovely guy, and then I match a woman with them. So they go on dates. And then he feedback, they're like, I don't want to go back on a date with this guy. So I'm like, tell me what happened on the date. And they're like, I don't like his hair, his haircut. So I'm like, okay. And I didn't like the shirt that he was wearing, the clothes that he was wearing. I'm like, okay, what else? And they were like, um, the eyes, it's not the eyes that I'm looking for. He hasn't got this color. I'm like, seriously? So I'm like, okay, tell me what you enjoyed about this date. And they're like, we had a lovely time. He's an amazing guy. He has a good career because all my men, they all have good jobs. So he has got this, he's got this. I'm like, are you hearing what you're describing to me? So you mean you're gonna not date a guy because he's wearing a shirt that you don't like? What if he doesn't know how to buy clothes? So so what if he doesn't know? Because sometimes when you have wealthy guys that like to behave silly. Sometimes they'll go and buy deliberately clothes that so they hide their identity because they want you to like them for who they really are, not for what they have, not liking the car that they're driving. So sometimes a wealthy man will actually leave an expensive car and just buy a simple car. And guess what? And the girl will be coming to me and say, when he took me, we walked to the car park. I don't like the car he was driving. So I'm like, seriously? So I'm like, listen. So then you now when somebody says those things, you don't have to judge them. As a coach, I have to realize that this person needs coaching. There is something wrong. They need coaching. They need knowledge and the skills to actually select the right person. When I met my man, I think Dr. Birgitte, you've seen Martin on Facebook. I don't know if you met him at Desmond O'Connor. He's a very, very handsome guy, very good looking guy, and very handsome inside, very good looking guy inside. He's very nice guy. So when I met him, he was wearing really nice clothes. But the shoes, I was like, what's the heck with the shoes? So I had to ask him. So it turns out that the shoes he was wearing is the shoes that are comfortable for him. And because he doesn't like to wear, he likes to dress up and go out. But we were going out basically for a meal and stuff. So he basically, because he works Monday to Friday, long hours. So the shoes that he was wearing, I was like, I love these shoes, But if you want to date me, you don't have to judge me with. I had to ask, not to judge. I was like, the shoes, tell me about the shoes. And he was like, oh no, don't worry. The shoes, I like them because they're comfortable. But I wasn't gonna change them because I'm meeting you. So you had to meet me with these shoes, but I'm not gonna go out with you wearing these shoes. You don't have to worry. So they are comfortable. So he explained his story about the shoes, and since I agree with dating him, he got rid of the shoes. So you have to ask. It's very, very important to ask because some men don't know how to go shopping and buy clothes. And some women as well, they do need help. Before I got to where I need with my clothing, my mom, she's basically a fashion designer. She is the one who taught me how to dress, basically, how to buy clothes. But I'm not sure if I didn't have her, how my life would have been. So sometimes I think it's very, very important instead of judging, just find out the story behind whatever is going on. Like you were saying that we say like life is a rubber ball. Like we create our character being a rubber ball, and we're denying ourselves, we're denying things by being negative. So for me, basically, I like to, when I see somebody dress ridiculous or a client comes to me, I have to find out the story about the clothes. I'm like, tell me about these clothes you're wearing. Tell me what is going on. And the clients will be simple telling me, no, sir, I need help. I don't know how to, because it's part of the package. I need help to go shopping, and because I'm very busy, sometimes I just grab anything. And for me, I have Martin. Martin goes to one shop, and the shop the way he goes to buy clothes, he walks in. He's facing the rail of the clothes, the jeans. Looks at the size, pick it up. So I'm like, do you know how much those jeans cost? And they'll be like, no, I don't mind. I'm like, no, I do. So I'm like, check the price and look at the sales there. So men sometimes do that. They walk into the shop, they pick something, they go. To them is good. Over to you, Dr. Bigot. I'm wobbling on too much.
That is so funny. That is so hilarious, Nimsan. So, yes, to understand there are a lot of people who are different is the other part of that. And I love how you say that, when something happen, just see if there is another thing that can come about it. And your example that you're doing certain thing, it is not, you might apply to somebody like you went and I I I believe I met him briefly personally when I was in London, actually. But your significant other. But it's the same thing. Sometimes this one thing doesn't work. It's because something else waiting for you.
Yeah.
Something even better. Napoleon Hill says that every adversity has the seed of an equal or greater benefit in it. And Ken Kais says that everything in our life has the opportunity to become our teacher. So the benefit might be teaching you on something that for you to improve, to grow and be even the greater versions of you. Or literally, there is a different benefit. I know somebody who apply for a positions. The persons want to be in a movie and apply for a position, and he really have to work for it. He really have to work for it, and he finally got into the final selection. And on that final selection, I think I'm very similar to your story actually. On that final selections, he got laryngitis. this is a movie role, and he has to be able to speak. And the people actually by then like him, and he got laryngitis, and they're like, okay, we'll give you 72 hours to come back to us, and see what happened. Well, 72-hour passed, he still didn't have his voice. They said, well, too bad, we're gonna move on. And because of that, and because he did not say, oh my God, poor me, life, the end of everything, was he disappointed? Was he unhappy? Surely. But within less than a week, he said, you know what? The God means something better, something better. I'm going back out there, talk to the agent, and fire up with even more passions and energy. And in less than 1 month, he got a role in a movie such that it simply basically propelled him into, at first, national TV. And this person is actually a well-known actor now. That I'm not going to mention the name, but the person is so well known, and he says, you know what? Thank goodness for my laryngitis. If I didn't have laryngitis, I would have been in this other series, which is a very small series and didn't do well after a short time. So when something happened, ask yourself first, is there a lesson in this? Something that can help you be even greater and better. Second, is it a potential good in this, whatever it is? And you might not see the potential good because, as Napoleon Hill says, it's the seed of greater good. But is it any potential? And if it is, and it's the good that you might love, then go at it and and work on it such that it will like a seed, you'll be able to harvest the fruit later on. So that is the other things that I would say is to do, is to keep on going with that. What
Yeah.
about you, Nunsa? Have you ever have things in life where you find that it's such actually a great learning that allows you to amplify and propel where you want to be?
Yes, I think with the story, like when you say this actor, things didn't work out with his first contract, and then he got even a better one. Things do happen like that in life. Sometimes we try so hard, looking for something, and then that something doesn't go well, and then we start feeling sorry for ourselves. We start the sadness, and that's why it's very, very important when things go wrong in life. It's very, very important to actually feel sad, to basically actually embrace that pain and get up very quickly and reconnect with yourself and start basically doing whatever you've got to do to basically to continue. If the path where you want to go needs to be tweaked a little bit, you just tweak it a little bit so you can keep going to where you need to go. Because in life there's gonna be sadness, and there are no guarantees for anything in life. We don't have guarantees. Even God Himself. So if you read the Bible is messed up. The life is in the Bible is full of glory, full of challenges, full of joy, and full of sadness. So that's what life is about. There's no such thing as a perfect life. So it is good to actually prepare yourself. Like I'm still looking for the house, and I basically said to myself, maybe I'm forcing myself to move into a house that is going to give me problems. So I sort of step back a bit, and I'm like, I'm just going to step back a bit and, and focus basically and see what this house situation is going to be like. Because um, if I stress myself and I keep focusing on one thing, then I'm just gonna be wasting my time, and I'm gonna be stress myself. So I know the path where I need to go. So I just said to myself, I'm just gonna step back for a little bit and just refocus and see. Because I've realized that sometimes when I really, really want something bad, really, really want something bad, and if I don't get it, and then I realize a few weeks later or few months later, something better comes up, and I realize that that's something that I wanted is that bad. It would have been a distraction for me to get these better things. So I'm in a situation, a place where if things don't go my way, I just have to say I don't have control, because we don't have control in life. I don't know, what do you think about you, Dr. Biggett? For me, I believe that we don't have control in life, but I still believe in mentally strength, because I basically, as a playing football, basically what I learned was you plan things. If things don't go your way, you get up. When I used to basically, when I go in that pitch, if I didn't things my life it didn't go well in the day, I go on the pitch. I'm there to win. I'm not there. And when I playing with the opposite team, every frustration, everything that went wrong in that day, it will go to the pitch and I'll come out happy because I played well. So if things don't go well, I focus on helping somebody else. Like Tony Robbins says, it works. Like focus on helping somebody else, and don't be all about me, things, feeling sorry club. I don't do feeling sorry club. I just continue and helping somebody else, but not ignoring my problems. Continue with my problems, focusing on other things that can help others. And I find it help when you bring joy to somebody else, because joy is what you do, Dr. Biggett. Is part of your uh, coaching, that you give joy to people. So when you give joy to somebody, you bring good energy to you.
Absolutely, yes. That's now it doesn't mean that we don't want to allow ourselves. Part of the whole being resilient is, yes, you acknowledge what's going on. We're not talking about, as we mentioned earlier, we're not talking about being in denial. Some people take it in a way that, oh, that means you're going to just pretend nothing happened, which is or be a Pollyanna and say, oh, life gonna be all perfectly rosy. That's not what we're talking about. What when as I in my book Seeking Peace here, and the five finger how to prove to thrive through change effortlessly. We are, and this is available on Amazon in every country. We're not talking about you being Pollyanna, but we're talking about, okay, when things happen, then acknowledge it, allow your feeling, but then taking on the next step. And as you said, Jumsa, choosing on what you want. It's very interesting. You said we don't really have control in life, and that's very true. And this is coming from somebody who used to be a control freak. I used to be such a control freak that I expose myself on regular basis, and naturally, I got so grumpy half of the time. And like they were says, life is actually very simple, but we make it complicated because of our mind and ego. And that time, it was my ego and actually more on my fear. If anybody who are very much into controlling fear, into controlling other. It's actually come from fear. Many people don't realize that it's a fear of change. It's a fear of unpredictability, and so back in the day, one of my yoga teacher actually told me, listen. If you are a control freak, if you want to be able to control, there is one thing that you for sure able to control, and you start there. And you are able to control that very well, you can talk about controlling other. And the one thing that you can control very well with no question is your mind. And truly in this world that we live, that is the only thing you have 100% control on, which is your mind. So decide in your mind, regardless of what's going on in your life, what is it that you would love on the outcome? that is, and knowing that this word is a circular word, what is that you love on the outcome for yourself, as well as what is that you would love on the outcome for the greater goods of all in an all-win manner. Because why? Because well, like if you think everything is a circulation, if you only think about yourself and it's causing disadvantage to other, eventually that things that whether you call it negative or disadvantage or something, it will turn around and circulate back to you, right? So you might as well from the get-go create something that's good for all. So decide in your mind, take control, be a little bit of a control freak in an efficient way, which is controlling your mind and say, okay, what is it that I would love on the outcome of this, instead of, oh my God, something happened and I turned into a tumbleweed of mess and misery. like you said, I go into a pity party club or something like that. Just decide what is it that you would love. And then the other thing is to, now for some say you say, okay, yeah, it's easy to say what is it that I would love and to stay positive and to stay encouraged and all these things, but it is something that it's easier said than done. And I understand if for many people that could be easier said than done to be able to focus on what it is that you would love. And one thing that you are able to do that is actually by acknowledging what is still good now. So even if things happening in life, even if and I'm not saying you are, and I foresee that it will not happen to you, but let's say even if the things happen in your life, and even if you ended up losing a home or a loved one or something, well, what's one thing that's still good in your life? Perhaps you have clothing to wear, perhaps that you still somehow some way still have electricity and internet connection, not just electricity and internet connections to be able to listen to these messages that can help you. So what is it that you still that's still good in your life, and feel grateful for it, be grateful for that. Why? Because when you have gratitude, it will immediately actually allow you to have a little more peace and a little more ease. You cannot be grateful, truly grateful from your heart, and be ultra grumpy and in the most negative state, so to say. There will be, it will naturally, the moment you express and truly feel grateful, study shows this, there is a change in your energy vibrations. And so make gratitude a habit, a daily habit. And actually, to help you with that, and this is also available on Amazon in every country, I created a gratitude book. It has teddy bears in front of it, a very huggy and and sweet teddy bears. Why? Because sometimes in life we all can benefit from big, very comfy hugs, and this is something that's actually this very simple book will last you a whole year. With a simple book like this lasts you a whole year. In pound, I believe this is a little bit over £8 US dollar. It's less than $12. It's 11 something dollar. And when you start practicing something like this, gratitude has been shown very clearly through many studies to improve your mental resiliency, because now you say, okay, let me see what is still good here, and let me express and feel grateful. And when you do that, you have more peace. And when you have more peace of mind, have you ever noticed this? Perhaps you have experienced this, Numsa. When you are actually more relaxed, you actually can think more clearly.
Yeah, you do have peace when you are relaxed, but which is it's not. We don't give us a time for ourselves to actually reconnect. We're always busy. If you look at it, anyone who has a business or a speaker, they are always on the road. Just we're always busy, but sometimes you have to say no to 1 hour. I'm gonna have this 1 hour to myself, because if we deny ourselves that time of relaxation, we're gonna have stress and things will go wrong. We'll wait for the doctors to tell us there's something wrong. So you just have to basically you have to be in control with your life. I'm looking forward to my gratitude book. My diary is running out because basically I bought my gratitude diary, so I think it's running out next week. So when my gratitude book comes, so I'm excited about it. And you talk about we can control our mind, Dr. Biggett. That is so true. We can actually choose how we respond with our mind. When our mind and our thoughts start Googling things that are not there, we can actually say no to our mind. We can respond, choose how we respond to every situation in life. Sometimes when things are not going well, it's very, very important to actually know your goals. That is very, very important in your values. Once you know your goals and you know your values, it's very, very important to bring yourself back when things are not going how they should be, and sit down and re-evaluate your goals and re-evaluate. Your goals might be fine. You might be actually taking the wrong step, but your goals might be fine. So it's very, very important to re-evaluate everything and just stop and focus. Sometimes when things are not going my way, I have a time where I stop. Basically, I have to stop and think, use my mind basically to evaluate everything around me. And not worrying. Sometimes when things don't go right, we worry about what people are going to say instead of putting our needs first. We worry about people judging us and stuff. And guess what? This world where we are is full of problems. You're gonna try to basically to start a business. You're gonna start to go and get promotion. You get that promotion and things don't go well. Maybe you find out that the owner of the company doesn't appreciate you. It's up to you how you respond. There are some people that I've met that they say, "Oh, I feel that I'm not being appreciated at work." So I'm like, if you are waiting for somebody who will appreciate you, tell you how amazing you are, you will be waiting for a very, very, a very, very long time. Because there are some people who like to see people doing the work, but they don't really basically give them that good comment or value them much. So it's like at Ngozi Talk Show. I was talking to Carol Ann the other day, and she says, "Oh, I'm in this business event, but I wanted to check with you if I bring like speakers come as a guest." And she was telling me, and I said, "How long have you been at Ngozi Talk Show, Carol Ann?" I said to her, "You know how it works, so trust yourself." And I said to her, "You know, you guys, because the talk show is your talk show, so you know what is needed. You know when you approach people what to say, and you know what you are looking for." So I said to her, "When you're looking for people, just say, 'This is what we are looking for, and this is what basically the list, you know everything, the principles, so you don't have to ask me." And she was like, "I have to check in with you." I was like, "No, you don't have to. You check in with me when you have the person." You say, "No, sir, I have found the person." So it doesn't matter. So I was like, yeah. So, but then I had to clarify that I don't want any, they can come as guests only. So in that way, you guys know that Ngozi Talk Show, it is not just for NOMSA, it's our talk show. And you know, if you have ideas, the ideas are welcome to basically for me to listen to them. So I said to this person, if you are really looking for somebody to value you and tell you how amazing you are, you'll be waiting for a long time, because we live a busy life. Some people, it's not that they don't appreciate you, they do. But some people, they don't know how to humble themselves and admit that this person is actually good. So it is nice sometimes to tell somebody that they are good at what they do. Uh, but we don't do that. So I said to her, you're gonna have to, your values. If you know your values, you don't need somebody else affirming how good you are and stuff. Because your values, like I'm waiting for the book. I'm excited to read uh, the gratitude diary that you've written, Dr. Birgit. I'm excited, so I can easily criticize the book when I receive it, but I actually have no clue about the pain that you went through when you wrote this book, because there's a pain that you have to go through. There's some disappointment, sleepless nights that you had to go through writing this book. But because we are in the same we are doing this same industry now, I do understand that when you write something, when you do something, you have to go through stress, challenges. There must be a night where you went, do I continue with this? The words are not coming out, or trying to write the words and they're not coming out. And then you meet somebody and they judge you for 1 second. The year that it took you writing that book is been taken by that friend. They've taken the power. So it's very, very important to keep your power, basically, just to remember where you've been, and keep power when somebody criticizes, or even if the fear comes in and trying to take over. Just look at where you've been and where you are.
And very true, like you said, Numsa, to know your value,
Yeah.
to not that discouraged, because when you know your values, what are your some of your top core values in life? This was one of the lesson I received early on in this part of my journey. The one of the mentors said, okay, let's everybody sit down and let's discover what are three at the most five of your core value, something that is very important for you. And when you do that, it's actually allow your life, back to what Deva says, allow your life to be very simple, because now you have this guiding light. So you say, is this in alignment with my core value? No. Okay. I'm not gonna go there. Well, one of my this is a holiday times, and then usually the new year, everybody want to go on a diet, right? On a new health thing for something else. And I used to have so much in the past struggle with my weight, and not even the way that people would think. I'm always petite. If you met me, I'm barely 5 feet tall, barely 150 centimeter, and always in a seemingly in a slim shape. But in my mind, it was always a struggle. It was like a little bit here, a little bit there, and a little bit, and do I want to eat this? Oh, I'm not supposed to eat this. Oh, I want to do, and all these things. And I realized when with that lesson that one of my core values is health. What would bring me the greatest health and feel great and wonderful in my body? Well, if anything else that is not in alignment with that, it's very easy then to say no. And over the years, over time, in a very short time, actually, once I have that awareness, I was able to simply just let go all these other things that I used to have a struggle with. I have not been on a scale or on a scale for many of you. You'll be like, how could you do that? But I have not on a scale in my house for at least 8 years now, probably closer or longer than that. I have not stepped on a scale except in doctor's office when they required you to do, and they just like, oh wow, how do you stay so slim and everything, and it's happened all naturally. Why? Because you know your value, and you know what it is that you would love. Like you said, Numsa, you don't, if something happened, you see it as a feedback. You don't see it as at the end of everything. Edison once was asked, the guy who created electricity for all of us to discover it, how did he keep going when he encountered 10,000 failures? And Edison looked at the reporter in a quizzical manner, he said, failures? I never have failures. All I have was feedback. So sometimes life give us feedback, and we, in a way, it's natural for human to say, oh, I don't like this feedback. It's really feel like failure, some feedback. And then we go on that and try to make meanings out of it. There's a lot of time it is about us making meanings. Oh my god, you got to be the person thinking this, and maybe it's not meant to be this way, and then da, and maybe it's not quite right here and quite right there. But if you know what it is that your core values, that is it in alignment with your core values? What is it that you love? And is your goal bringing good for you as well as for others? And if the answer yes, then it's just you can choose to simply make it a feedback. So I wrote the book, The Seeking Peace here. This book, the first one, it's actually literally using your 5 fingers to help you navigate through challenges and triumph even faster, because like Dewa says, life is actually simple if we allow it to be simple. And that's the other part of being able to have resiliency, to just simplify. If you look at rubber ball, like to the rubber ball analogy, it might has all kind of thing in it, but the concept of a rubber ball is like the simplest thing. It's just like simplify. Henry David Thoreau says in his shortest quote, probably everybody's shortest quote ever, which is simplify, simplify, simplify. And when you are able to simplify things, you will be able to easily to just say, okay, this is what I would love, this is my value, this is what's not happen, this is what's not happening. What's the next step? And so that's all. It is something that can be as simply and straightforward as that. And what about you, Numsa? Have you ever have a time in your life where when you look back, you're like, oh, now that I simplified things, it's actually easier. And perhaps and this is something to like you said earlier, to give yourself a permissions to even just stop, which is something that's very good, to stop and then regroup and say, okay, what is it? What's the feedback? What's the teaching? And instead of keep on running, I make it a habit actually now. Like next week, this coming week, I book myself to do nothing. I don't have a commitment, an appointment, anything. It's for me, and for me to reflect, to reflect and listen and see what's the next step. And so what is it then, what is it that life's trying to tell you? Sometimes we need to stop, just like if you're talking to somebody, if you keep running, it's hard to hear them. Same thing with life. Sometimes you gotta stop and then see what's the message life have for you, and how you can simplify.
That is so true. That is so true, Dr. Bigot. Sometimes you have to, like myself, I do have time, like I do book some time like you, where I basically or have some me time, not doing anything, or basically no thinking about, not stressing myself. And I I basically, when I work really hard, and then when I see myself that I'm working really hard, or there is something that is not working, I have to basically stop and focus on my prayer life, just to pray. When I pray, I don't pray about the things. I never pray about the things that go wrong. Actually, I pray about God, for Him to show me where I need to go and to open the opportunities for me. Because I don't want to focus on the things that are going wrong, in case that something that is going wrong is not meant for me. So I focus on God opening more opportunities for me and showing me basically who I am as a person is very important. I like the when you say the feedback, basically failure is a feedback. Failure, we learn from feedback. We learn from failure. I've learned a lot from my relationship that didn't work out well. I've learned a lot from basically by making things very, very simple for myself. I don't like to complicate life. I know there are some people who like things done that way, that way. For me, I like to keep things very, very simple for everyone else so that everyone can understand it, so that I can understand my life. Because if I complicate my life and wanting things that basically gonna complicate my life, then that means I'm gonna get stressed and I'm gonna I'm gonna basically be worrying about things that don't save me. So I like to keep things really, really simple, and I like to trust God and trust that God is gonna send people around me that are going to help me. And in that way, I know that I know that I have to keep my mind. Like my mind is very, very important to make sure that you train your mind, get rid of bad habit, because mind is a strength. That's where this is the symbol of our destiny. The head, the mind is the symbol of our destiny. So it's very, very important to make sure that your mind is clear, your head is very, very clear, and you stay focused. By doing that, you meditate, you pray, you use whatever you ritual that you want to use to basically, for me, I pray. And if you see me praying here, you will think that I'm talking to a human. God is a human being. I've learned that God is a human being. So if things are not going well, I quote every scripture that he says, you ask in my name, it shall be given to you. The doors of opportunities will be given. And I call out whoever holds the record on earth and the records in heaven about my life, my ancestors. You will hear me and everyone will be like, why don't you just pray in your mind? I'm like, I need God to hear me. And by doing that, I start seeing the things where I go wrong. I start seeing the things where I go right, because I'm being honest. I'm saying, God, if I don't want to keep saying the enemy is doing this while I'm doing it. So God, show me the way. Where am I supposed to go? Show me the way where I need to go, like right now with the house, hunting for the house, not being able to actually find, because I know my children like space. I like space as well. I like to disappear where I don't hear everybody. And I like some me time as well. So I like to do that. But if I just rush and get the house, that is going to end up giving me problems. So I like to have a word with God when things don't go wrong. And it's very, very important. And I talk about it as well. I have to, like, every time there is something that is not going well, Dr. Biggett, I always say it that this is not going well, this is not going well. You give me some advice. And Carol Ann as well, she's happy to listen to me when things are not going well. Like when we were moving houses, she was be giving me some tips on how to talk to the children and stuff. Because although I'm a psychologist, sometimes people see, when you talk to somebody else, they see things that you don't see. Hi, Catherine. How you doing? So when you talk to somebody, sometimes the people see things that they see things that you don't see. So I'm somebody that is open for advices. I listen to people. So it is very, very important to make sure that you work on your past wounds as well, because some people, they hold on to pain. Make, just work on that pain. If there is a pain that is from the past, just work on it and move on. Let it go. You spoke about let it go. Just let it go. Let go of that pain. And knowing that whatever is going on in your life, the present moment, the present life is very, very important. Yesterday, I was talking about the foundation of life. You are the one that is responsible for building the foundation of your life, to plant the seed in that life. So it is very, very important. If you choose to plant the seeds that does not align with your values or your beliefs, then you're gonna be miserable. So you have to make sure that your pathway aligns with whatever your values and everything in your beliefs. And knowing that, like you were talking about the health, like weight, you don't worry about that anymore. I don't do it anymore. I see people, I talk to my friends, they say I'm trying to lose weight, but it's not working. How I'm like, how is it meant to work? Because for me, when I'm trying to, I don't lose weight. I've lost weight when I've got two kids. And when I was after the birth of my daughter, that was the last time I was losing weight, thinking about weight. I go to McDonald's once a month. I eat it and I go and run. I don't really think about, because when something becomes an obsession, it's no longer funny anymore. So if I know that this is the recipe, I need to eat healthy food. I need to do this. I need to do this in order for me to be healthy. I don't need to worry about my boobies are not right. My this is. I don't need to worry about all that. All I need to worry about, am I healthy? Can I get up today and go to work? Am I eating healthy? Am I doing this? Just do the right thing. Don't worry about the boobies getting bigger, the thighs getting bigger, the legs getting bigger. If you know what you're doing, walking, running, going to the gym, just keep that up and forget about everything else and eat healthy. Honestly, I don't know with your own opinion, Dr. Biggett, what you think.
I would completely agree with that. In particular, when you say to ask for advice and to ask for support. With everything in life, if you really look at it, nobody become an Olympic athlete without multiple coaches. Nobody. And if you ever look at somebody trying to build a house, or look at your house, look around with the building that you are standing, that house, for it to become a house, it's required at least 4 walls. You don't have a house. I mean, maybe you have a triangular house, but you can't have a house that is just a single pole. It doesn't create that. Now, if you might say, some people would say, oh, but I have a circular thing, so it's a one thing. Okay, well, if it's a circular thing, if you really segment it out, then it's usually multiple segment anyway. So nobody become a great success just by yourself. And so the other part of resiliency, of mental resiliency, is to actually truly allow support. And most time people don't know you need support. And the other part of it is, sometimes we think you might need support, but if you don't say anything, then we don't want to offend you, so ask for it. Being a grief coach, I say the first thing you want to do is ask for support, and says, okay, you know what, this is going on in my life and I have no idea what to do next. Perhaps you say, okay, well, this feels like a lesson that I don't like in life, this feedback here, and I can't even see the lessons, never mind the next step. Then ask for professional support. And it's very important to ask for qualified support instead of just asking left and right. Now, Numsas mentioned she asks my support, she asks Carol Ann, but we are all coaches. We know, and we ask support in a specific manner, not just randomly somebody down the street, so to say. Because why? If you ever have asked a direction, this is the best example. I usually, if you want to go somewhere, you want to drive from wherever you are to London, and you've never done that, and you ask a peasant, a person's down the on the street side who also never been to London, and so, and you're like, can tell me, how do I get to London? The person might do the very best they say, and it might actually have you go the opposite direction or spun around somewhere, while you actually find somebody who is a professional driver driving back and forth to London on a weekly basis from where you are. That person can say, This is how you go. Da, 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 da. This is how it's going to take. This is how much gas it's going to take. This is how long. And you get there so much easier and so much faster. So allow support when you are facing anything. Allow support as much as you possibly can, and as soon as you possibly can.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. Anyway, we come to an end. The time is 5 minutes past 2. Do you have any words of encouragement, Dr. Birgitte, before we
Yes,
leave?
absolutely. I would say that my final message on this particular topic is to realize that if you choose to and decide, you are actually a lot stronger than you often think. And success is absolutely probable if you just keep on going while allowing support if you can benefit from one.
Yep, that is so true. Take control of your life, even when it feels scary. Basically, make commitment to learn new skills. Know new knowledge is very, very important. Just to educate yourself. That's what I do basically when things are not going well. I educate myself more and more, and instead of feeling sorry for myself, because if you join feeling sorry club, then you stay down there. So it's very, very important. And like Dr. Biggett said, we are here Monday to Friday to host the talk shows. If you want to connect with the qualified coaches, please go to our page or website and connect with the speakers or the coach. You can request to somebody you want to talk to, and they will connect you with that person. And God bless you and live with grace, everyone.